Dude. Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Sal Kalani. This is Reggie Steele.
And welcome to Spitballin.
All right.
We are here.
Here we are. I'm already drinking water.
Yeah, hold on. Let me go ahead and get a swig. Just might as well
It's
get it started right.
it's a hot one today.
Mm-hmm.
It's a hot one, dude. I just saw one of those commercials for that Carvana, where you could get your car out of a vending machine. It's so stupid. Do you know anyone who's done that? Like,
I haven't.
and
I
I've
will
seen
say
those commercials all the time.
I've used I use CarMax, but I guess it's not the same.
What's that one?
CarMax is basically where you drive your car to a place with a bunch of other cars and you go, I want to trade my car in. And they walk out, they walk around it and act like they're looking at it, go, all right, it's got 4 tires. That's good. Okay. Does it start? You go, boom. They're like, all right, sounds good. Yeah, we'll give you $1,200. Sold. And then they just give you, then you buy a car in their lot if you want to. But they'll take your trade-ins for nothing. Like they'll take your trade-ins. Like if
Is
you
it?
want it.
I mean, are you getting a good bang for your buck?
You're not going to get market, but who does, right? You're not going to get blue book value, right? Like they'll look at the blue book, and then they'll probably come down a couple hundred.
You've taken a car that way?
Yo, man, my Honda Accord, it got stolen in 2011. They stole it on a Thursday. They brought it back on Monday, like they rented it for the weekend. And it was 4th of July weekend. I got it back Monday. I drove it for like 2 days and I was like, yo, I can't drive this car. Like the juju was all bad. The energy was all messed up. And it was a great car, man. It was a 97 Honda Accord. I had 213,000 miles. My joint was humming. 213. And my joint was humming. Like it was smooth. It had no problems. It was a great car. But because they stole it and went joyriding, I was like, yo, I got to get rid of it. So I took it to CarMax and they gave me, I want to say they gave me like $1,400 for it. A 97 Honda Accord with 213,000 miles on it.
That's a good. You got a good deal because you're lucky.
And I had
that many miles. You shouldn't be able to even get $200.
That's all I'm saying. And I had rims. I had tinted windows. Yo, the act was nice, right?
Okay, I remember that little white car.
Yeah, man. My act was, I mean, not my act, but the Accord was nice, man. That joint was dialed in. So
I mean, remember, I had the hoopty, and I sold that through Craigslist. That's what I did. Because what happened was it was already smashed. Like it was
still looking for you, right? The people you sold that car, they still looking for you.
Oh, right. Well, no, that's a different car. Because you're right. There's another guy. So with the hoopty, what happened was it was already 3 colors. The driver's side didn't open. I had to crawl through the passenger side. And then one day, I was coming to like this light over down, I don't know, in the Mission District. And this lady in this big pickup truck started running the light and then stopped in the intersection and then just started backing up. And she backed up right into the hoopty and smushed the hood like this, right? And go ahead.
Before you go any further, is that the same car that you had the driver's side door open and the bus came by and bent the door back the other way? Is that the same one?
No, it wasn't. Well, no, that wasn't a bus. That was a drunk driver.
Oh, a drunk driver.
That was. I mean, that was a big moment that changed in my life. Like that's after that moment, I quit my day job, and I was like, I could be dead any minute, dude. I could be dead tomorrow. I was like, go out selling as a copier salesman. So, I was getting out of the car, and I had both my feet on the street, and all of a sudden I saw a headlight right here, and it just crushed my door like an accordion. And then he kept swerving down the street, almost hit a lady crossing a crosswalk, and it was gone. It was a big white pickup truck. And yeah, dude. And then a month later, I quit my day job way too early. I mean, I wasn't working any club or anything, and then I just struggled.
Well,
but
you made it. You lived and you made it.
And I always had a story where I took a piece of my car and I took a piece of the truck and I hung it up on a string, and I still have it on the wall. And I put a Neil Armstrong quote. It says, "I believe every human has a finite number of heartbeats. I don't intend to waste any of mine."
Nice.
So,
Nice. See, that's
which
what I
is,
like about you, Sal. I
well,
like
that's
that.
easier said than done. I mean, I've wasted many of my,
Dude, but
I
you're
was
still
wasting
here,
some
dude.
of my hours on Madden this morning, but
But it brings you joy, right? It brings you joy and
yeah,
happiness.
exactly
Yeah,
right. So I mean,
exactly.
yeah. So, but no, with the hoopty, then I sold it. So after that, I was like, well, that's it, dude. I just got to sell this. I'm like, this is this car. The hood's all bent it, and I put it up on Craigslist for $250. And people will respond when you got a car for $250.
Oh yeah.
And this guy came and bought it for $150. He talked me down. And like, what are you gonna do? Like, I was like, right there, he's there. You know, that was my move too. Whenever you go buy a car,
Right.
like you go, okay, and then you go show up and you're like, I'll give you 750 right now instead of a grand, right? Whatever. You know, that's how I got one of my cars. I got a deal on it.
Oh,
I wanted a
you know what?
grand. And I was
You
like,
know what he did with
I'll
that
give you a
car?
750 right now. He's like,
That's
oh,
funny.
okay. Oh yeah. So
That's funny.
yeah. So I sold him for 150. And I remember driving down the street. I'm like, man, that was my car forever. And I just gave it to that guy for $150. Like, it was a good running car. And this motherfucker went joyriding on it because then I got all these tickets and stuff. And it got in 3 days, he got it impounded. Like like drove over the Braid Bridge and didn't pay any of the tickets, the
Wow.
tolls. So they contacted me, and then it got impounded and they contacted me. And I
So
was
he
like,
never changed over the registration.
no, dude, and I did. Like, you have like within 10 days or something, but yeah, I went and got it all taken care of because it's like, yo, that's not me, man.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I mean, it's kind of like what do you expect if someone buys a car for $150, they're not trying to go to work.
what
It
they do?
just
Are they going to steal something? What are they
yeah,
doing?
exactly. You know what I was thinking is that I was thinking that he probably just I was thinking that, before you went into what he actually did, like I said, he probably just sold it for parts, right? I was thinking that he's like, yo, the car runs. I'm sure that the alternator, the catalytic
Maybe, yeah.
converter, you know what I mean, the engine, the transmission, all the tubes and pipes and whatever else in there, belts. I was thinking he was just gonna part it out and make some money,
No,
which
he
you
didn't
probably
do
could have
that.
done.
He just no, yeah. Who do I know? The parts department. Like, who's gonna break this down?
Yeah,
But
that's
even
true.
then, but no, he wanted to just run a bridge toll and joyride, I guess.
Yeah.
You're right.
Wow.
There was another guy, because you're right. Another car I had, there was a problem where it didn't. This little white Toyota, an '88 Toyota, and something was happening where it constantly leaked oil, and
Okay.
I constantly had to put oil in it.
Ugh,
And
that's the
nobody,
worst.
it was way too much money to fix. So I was
Right.
like, this is what it is. It has an oil leak, but I'll sell it to you. I don't even remember, like $300 or something. So somebody bought it, or for $500. Somebody bought it. I think I only paid 500 for the car. So to get 300,
Yeah.
and it wasn't even, it's leaking oil. But those Toyotas are great running cars. But so this guy sold, so I bought it off me. And then I get a call from a guy like 5 days later. He goes, hey man, your son sold me this car and it fucking leaks oil. And I was like, what? I was like, my
What?
son. I'm like, no, I sold that car to somebody. So the guy then turned it around and sold it to this guy, didn't tell him about the oil leak, made like $200 profit off of it, and
So
then
he sold it for
bounced.
500. He bought it from you for 3 and sold it for 5.
Yeah. And yeah. And this guy called me looking for him. And I was like, hey, man, I don't know. This is the guy. This is what he told me. I sold it to him. I told him it has an oil leak. And he's
Yeah.
like, that was it. So I was like, so
Holy cow.
scammy, man.
Dude, I didn't realize you had so many scandalous car stories.
Well, when you get, when you drive the bottom of the barrel like a Fred Flintstone car, you have to deal with
That's funny.
shadiness,
Yeah, you got to
shady
deal with
characters.
shadiness. That's funny, man. I've never had that experience. Although Mockley, there's a story where Mockley bought a car. There's a point where he was buying cars because his brother was out here and his cousin, and he bought a car from this guy, which is funny because I went with him to buy the car, and I don't know what it is, but maybe I just look like a person who would know something about cars, right? Because I was like, I'm like, all right. He's like, yo, Reg, come with me. I want to see, So we get there, and I'm like, yo, I come up to the guy. I'm like, yo, can you pop the hood? So he pops the hood, and I'm looking under the hood like,
He had no idea.
okay, no idea, no idea. I'm just like, all right, that looks good over there. That right there, that's okay. Now this is where it's supposed to be. That's because the engine's supposed to be in the middle, so that's good. The engine's in the middle, right? And we test drove it, like a real short trip, just like down the street, around the corner, did a little, nothing really serious. And I was like, all right, man, I don't know. It wasn't much. It might have been like $700 or something like that. Man, he got the car back, and maybe a day later, that joint was like, it's one of those situations where when it started so well that even the guy was like, right, like, oh, okay, I guess it's working. So we get it home, and a day later, he goes out to start. He's like, yeah. Yo, when I say that he went ballistic, he was like, yo, man, he called a dude back. And I was out of this situation at this point. He gets AJ involved. So now he and AJ are like on the phone talking crazy to this dude, like, yo, you sold us this car. You knew it was no good. Yo, we're gonna bust your ass. We're gonna do this. You don't give us our money back. Like they went on some like black mafia type shit. And the dude was like, okay. All right, look, just stop calling me. Just here's your money. So they got their money back. He got his money back. Yeah. Wow. He got his money back. And then he went to the junkyard and bought a car. And it was funny because we showed up at the junkyard in an 87 Chevy Cavalier, right? Which I eventually bought off of him for like $400. But he bought up.
Brag.
Yeah, really. So we show up to at the junkyard, and he buys a car off the junkyard for like $250, $300. And we're looking at the car, and it's running, right? Like it's running. And he looks at me, he goes, all right, Reg, here, you drive this car. I was like, I ain't driving that shit. I was like, nobody. I was like, I'll take the Cavalier. I was like, you drive that joint. Man, he followed me on the freeway. It barely got up to speed. He was getting it for his brother and his cousin. He made it. Eventually, the car worked for a while because they were using it to commute to school from Lafayette to like Oakland. And one day they were driving home and just on the freeway trying to go through the tunnel to get on the 24 to get through the tunnel. That joint just blew up. That joint just blew up. It caught on fire on the side of the road. And then the killing part is that he got it towed, right? He got it towed back to our place in Lafayette. And then he called a place to trade it in so he can get another car. It was sitting on the side of the road. It had been sitting on the side of the road since it blew up on the side of the road.
Wow.
It was sitting on the side of the road. They decided to take this car, this trade-in, sight unseen, because he was buying another car. He ended up buying an Elantra. We were all sitting on the balcony, right? We're sitting on the balcony watching this dude like go start the car, because we was like, yo, this joint, it might blow up again, right? Hey man, dude got in the car, started it, drove off, and we was like, all right, close the door, lock the doors, close the windows. Like, in case he come back, like we ain't here. And yo, man, they took the car and he got another car. So those are not necessarily my stories, but those are Mockley's stories.
I remember my dad had a Chevy Chevette. You remember those cars? They're like a tiny what do they call it? Hatchback.
Yeah.
And he had a 2-door Chevy Chevette, and we always joke like, you want to see the vet. The Chevette. So one time we're visiting my grandparents, and it rained a little, and then it was like a 20-minute ride on the highway just to get there. It was pretty quick. So we're driving in home, and my dad thought he's funny. He's driving through these giant puddles and splashing up because the Chevette's so small and low. Yeah. And then he drives through one more big one, and then we start getting on the on-ramp of the highway, and then the car just goes and just stalls, dude.
Because he got some water in the engine, right?
Right. So then
he got some water in the engine.
We had to get a call, like my brother or someone come pick us up, right? But he leaves the car there. He doesn't call the tow truck. Oh no, I'm not gonna call no tow truck. We'll tow it ourselves. So what he does is he and my brother like get in my brother's truck, and he like ties like a chain or something to the front of the Chevette, the bumper.
Yeah.
And then he goes, now, Sal, you get in the Chevette and you stare and we'll tow you.
Dude, that's hilarious.
Dude, I kid you not. I'm on the fucking highway and it's tugging it. And I'm like, oh, shit, dude. And, you're going like 10 miles. I got the flashes on. People zipping by the Chevette.
Dude, that's great. That's some hood shit right there. That's some
Yeah.
ghetto hood shit right there.
Yeah, that's some cheap ass old man shit. But that
Yeah,
was.
put a chain on it. We'll pull it. Oh, that's funny, man. Oh, dude. All right. So should we address like this?
So Reggie, you could all tell that's not just his new backdrop. He's coming from us from Birmingham, right? Are you in Birmingham, Alabama?
I'm currently in Birmingham, Alabama, which is fitting because behind me the curtain is that crimson red Alabama color, right?
All right.
And speaking of that, which is funny, after our whole conversation about the earbuds and earpods and AirPods or whatever they call, I went online because I had a bunch of points and bought some earpods, right?
Wow.
Yeah, because I was like, I want
Are
to
those
see.
what you're wearing now?
No.
Oh, so those are the wireless ones.
These are the wireless ones. These are Samsung, right? Hold up.
Oh, Samsung.
Well, because I'm not an Apple guy, right? So
are you gonna try them on right now? You gotta get the Bluetooth to work. Oh, look at that. It looks like a you know what it looks like? It looks like you got one of those Boston beans in your ear.
a Boston bean? What's that?
Or they're like they were like these candies, they were like peanuts with candy.
Oh,
shell.
yeah. I know the Boston beans. I thought you were talking about something else though.
All right, turn it again. You know what it kind of looks like? You know what it really looks like? One of those round cheeses that come in the red packaging.
That's funny. That's funny. Yeah, man, I got them because I figured, like when I ride my bike, I just have my phone playing the music. Like I use my phone like a boombox, right? Like I don't want to be that guy who's riding his bike blasting music out to the world. That's what I've been doing. So right. I figured, you know what? I was like, I'm gonna try these. Sal talks highly about his earbuds, and so I was like, I got all these points. So I got these, and they connect to my phone. As soon as I take them out, I open it up, they connect just like yours, and boom. And these are really awesome, man. Like these are noise canceling, and so I can, but I can turn up the ambient sound. Right. I don't know if you can do that. And if I
see, that's how you get mugged, bro. You can't hear it coming. You lose your spidey sense for that shit.
Yeah, exactly. So, but
that's cool. It's so much better without the wire. It's weird, but it is.
Yeah, well, it's pretty good, man. I've been messing around with them, and I'm like, I'm gonna ride them on my bike. And
you're not worried about your brain waves getting messed with?
Well, that's the thing. I still want to see, right? Like I'm gonna try them just to see if I experience any headaches or anything like that, and then I won't use them. But at this point, I'm only using them to ride my bike, right?
Okay.
While riding my bike, I'm not going to use them every day, but it's kind of cool, man, because I can program the touch, right? Like, it's a little touch.
I do that. I'll do that in the grocery store. That's me in the grocery store. I just put them in and I just shop. And you want to skip the song, it's bup up. If you want to pause, bup up.
Oh, you got to switch ears. For me, if I want to pause, I just hit to play one time, to pause one time, to skip the song 2 times, to go to the previous song 3 times. If I press and hold it, I can program it to either open my Spotify or, Bixby, which is like Siri on the iPhone. 1 tap to answer, 1 tap to hang up, 2 taps to click over, right? Like it's crazy, man. It's crazy.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot, but it's fun. I got to admit, it's pretty fun. So I went and got some of those. I'm going to share that with you. The other thing is the reason why I'm home. Right, because I'm currently in the house that I grew up in.
So when you're not there now, because that is your mom's old house, does anyone live there? Yeah, it's your house now. Does anyone live there?
Yeah, my cousin's staying here.
Okay.
After my mom passed, she was here to help take care of my mom in her last days. Right.
Oh, okay.
And so when I left. After everything was done, when I left, I didn't want to leave the house abandoned, right? Because, people break in, you get squatters' rights and blah, blah, blah. So she's been staying here and, taking care of the house. And it's great, man, because she's made it her own. Like, I look around, I still see some parts of it that were from my mom's time, but, she's rearranged the furniture and she's changed things, man. So it's really nice. It's almost like it's in the same place, but being in a different place. Yeah. So yeah, man. So I'm back in the house that I grew up in, which is crazy. But the reason why I'm here in Birmingham, is a very somber and sad. And I'm gonna keep it together, but Sal and I talked about before I go into this, all the people out there in podcast land. I talked to Sal about this prior to, and said I wanted to mention it. But one of my best friends in the whole wide world, my friend Byron J. Wilson, the J stood for Jameer, passed away last Saturday. And 46 years old. One of the best people I've ever met in my life, man. Love this dude. And today's been interesting because I got into Birmingham last night about 1:20 a.m. My cousin and I stayed up talking for a little bit to probably like 2:45 and went to bed at 3. Mockley calls me this morning at like 8:41, like, yo, what's up, man? I know you experiencing time change. I know it's hard. And I'm like, dude, I had like 20 minutes. So I was supposed to pick up a rental car at 10. I ended up picking it up at 11. Hopped in a rental car, drove down to the funeral home where his body is for visitation. And the public viewing is not till 6 p.m., 6 to 8 p.m. I showed up there at 11:45, right? I walk in, the lady's like, okay, well, I'm sorry, but the viewing's not till later. So it was hard to drive down there. And then I get there and I can't
be like, hey, can I sneak a peek?
No, I can't. I could have, but I was like, emotionally, I was just kind of like, okay, right. So so then I left, and when I left, I was like, yo, I should just go see his mom.
Oh, I'm gonna go see his mom. There's a helicopter. You hear that? It's either the fuzz or the hospital. They're always flying by. All right, go ahead. He's Hollywood, man.
He's Hollywood. So I'm I'm driving back, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna stop by his mom's house, right? Just go by and see his mom and see how she's doing. And so I stopped by the house, and when I got there, man, it was waterworks, man. Seeing his mom. Byron and I have known each other since we were 15 years old, right? We're looking at over 3 decades.
Like high school, you grew up together?
Yeah, we grew up together, went to the same high school, and just over the years, man, just it's like when I showed up at the airport, Byron used to pick me up from the airport, right? Byron was that dude that, like, if we went out to go hang out with our other friends, right, we'd all go hang out at somebody's house and kick it and eat and laugh and tell jokes and play around, and then he and I would ride there together because we live close to each other. Then we'd get back to my place after having just kicked it with everybody for a few hours. We would then still sit in the car for another hour and a half just talking, right? Mm-hmm. He always kept me abreast of what was going on in Birmingham, to the point that I was like, dude, are you going to the city council meetings? Like, what are you doing that all this? And he was like, man, Birmingham is on the rise. He used to tell me all the time, man, Birmingham is coming up. Birmingham coming up, man. They just did this. They just opened that. They just
was he stoked when that guy from American Idol, what was his name, Ruben Studdard?
Ruben Studdard. Oh man, all of Alabama was happy.
I remember you had like, you were rocking some shirt with the area code or something.
Yeah, the 205. Well, the 205, Oh yeah, man, had my 205 shirt. But yeah, man, Byron was that dude, man. And I got to his mom's house, and obviously his sister answered the door, and I was like, how you guys doing? And she said, today's a rough day, right? And so there was I have to admit, man, I've experienced my fair share of loss in life. I've lost my mom. I lost Jamoki, who's one of my best friends, Lamont, who's a good friend of mine, and I can go down the list of other people, but this one hits hard, man. Like this, because he's got 3 kids, right? His oldest is 16, the youngest is 10, the one in the middle is about 13. So, those are all just, pivotal times in life, man. You know what I mean? And to lose your dad, it's hard. And then for me, and I mean, think about the kids is hard, but just for me, I'm like, to lose a good friend like that, yo, it's just, it's challenging. It's challenging. So I when I got to the house, they were going for the family viewing, and they invited me to go with them. And so I was really pleased about that, got the opportunity, because I knew that if I went in there by myself, man, even just driving up there, it was waterworks. And then to have the lady tell me no, I was sad about that. And then driving back, I'm sad about that. I get to the house, and then it's just, So to go there and be able to grieve with his family, it was it was really powerful, man. And I saw him, and that's the other thing too, man, is like to see him. Whenever you see people in that state, it's bittersweet, right? For me, I hadn't seen him in a while because obviously I live in California, so there's a part of me that wants to see him. But then when you see the person, they don't look like what they did before. You know what I mean? Like you can see that part of them has transitioned on, that energy, which is also kind of like solidifies it, right? Like it gives you a little bit of closure. Like, okay, so this chapter is done, and so that energy has moved on. But then that energy, I feel like that energy goes out into the world, but into us, right? The people who know him. There's a quote that I've been saying lately, and it's this whole thing about we experienced two deaths. I forget who said it, but we experienced two deaths. There's the first one when the physical body succumbs and has reached its end. And then the second death is when someone says your name for the last time. Right. Oof. Yeah. And so a part of that for me is, I'm gonna always say Byron Wilson, right? Like for as long as I got air in my lungs, I will talk about Byron. I'll talk about B. I'll talk to his kids. I'll talk to other friends. Like we will say his name. You know what I mean? Right. We'll tell the stories because that keeps him going. That keeps him alive in us, right?
Right.
Keeps him alive. So
was it was it expected, dude?
Well, what happened was, and I just found this out today because I didn't know. When I got the call last Saturday, dude.
You hearing these copters, by the way?
No, I can't hear them at all.
Okay, but it's obviously a copter because they're the ones that go around and around and around. They'll go around for like 15 minutes, dude.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, did you find them or not?
They didn't find him yet.
Yeah, they get out of here. All right, sorry. Well,
That's
ahead.
All good. It's all good.
It is kind of funny though. Like you're doing a somber story, and these copters are going. It's like an action film with a sad little narrative.
Yeah, that's funny. So basically, man, because I asked his mom, I said I didn't know what happened because for me it was completely unexpected. Wow. Right, like I got that call Saturday.
That hurts. That really. Hurts.
Oh, dude, I'm telling you right now, I got that call Saturday. One of my boys called me, and I saw that I missed a call, and which was weird for me because I was like, "Yo, this dude called me." I was like, he usually just text. Like he only call if it's something serious, right? So I kind of was preparing myself for something, but I wasn't expecting this. You know what I mean? I thought it was gonna be somebody in our class from '92, right? And he just said, "Yo, man." I was like, "Yo," I said, "Hey, what's up, man? How you doing?" He said, "Man, I wish I was doing better." And I go, "What's up?" And he goes, Byron passed away this morning, and I just lost it. I'm talking about I lost it, man. It was like you might as well hit somebody might as well hit me with a one of those, what do they call those big destruction balls, the little
wrecking ball.
But somebody might as well hit me with a wrecking ball, man. That joint hit me that hard. Like it just felt like I couldn't breathe, I couldn't talk, so it was unexpected for me. But talking to his mom today, what happened was basically he had a cough. She told him he should go see the doctor. He was like, "I'll be fine." He laid down. The next morning, she gets up. She's cooking breakfast. And his sister came over to the house and was like, "Yo, why is Byron still in bed? Like, yo, get him out of bed," right? So she goes in to try to wake him up. He's unresponsive. They call an ambulance. They take him to the hospital. They get there. They put him on a ventilator, respirator ventilator, because of his lungs were congested. It turned out that he had pneumonia, right?
Wow.
So they put him on a ventilator, and he was in the hospital for 3 weeks. And for the first 2 weeks, it was kind of touch and go, but he was getting better. So his mom was like, "Well, we didn't think to call anybody because, he was getting better." So after the 2 weeks, they took him off, and then he was okay for, a day maybe. And then they put him back on. And then from there, he just declined. He just went down. Then he started to have kidney problems. It was like his body was starting to shut down. And then he succumbed. Like he just, his mom said that.
Crazy.
That's crazy. Yeah. His mom said, she said toward the end that she said, he'd been having some health problems over the years, kind of off and on with some stuff. And she said it just seemed like he was just tired. right? Like he just didn't
Wow.
feel like fighting anymore. And so, and I don't fault him for that, man, because we can never be upset with somebody for wanting to relieve their pain, you know what I mean, or their
Right.
discomfort. And so yeah, it's been a hard time, man. Like, so this trip for me to Birmingham has not necessarily been a fun trip. It's been
Right.
a very, um, a somber and sad thing for me. But I'm so glad I had the time that I had, man. Like
Right.
literally, B was I can't think about my life, right, without thinking about Byron.
Right.
He's,
Right.
so, but I got a chance to talk and commune with his kids, and I'm gonna give them all my information. Uh, we never did the whole thing officially, but he was like, "Yo, Reg, you're gonna be the godfather," which is, that's a huge honor, man. That's a huge honor. And the other thing, and I'll share this with you, and then I'll stop, is he and I were texting in February. And this has happened several times in my life where I've had these moments where I feel like, yo, something's off, right? Something's remiss. I need to figure this out. But it always makes me feel like I need to express myself, right? Like I need to say what I need to say because I get a vibe, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so he and I were texting in February, and this was basically one of our last. I mean, we had talked since then, but this one was one of those situations where I got to tell him how I felt about him. So for me, there no stones have been left unturned, right?
Well, that's good.
Yeah. So this is what I said. Wait, should I read this? Is this too personal? Is this gonna be too much?
I mean, no, go ahead. It could help you, man.
Okay. So this is
I'm
what I
sure
said.
people are cool with it.
Yeah. All right, cool. So I sent him some gifts for his kids, right? Like I cashed at them some money. I was like, yo, this is from Uncle Reg. Here's some money for Trinity, who's the youngest. Here's some money for Kalian, who's the middle, and here's some money for Jaden, the oldest, right? This is from Uncle Reg for them to do, like, get something nice for themselves. You know what I mean? Just whatever, right? So we go through that whole thing, and I hit him up, and he hits me up, and I go, thanks, B. Love you, Byron. You my man, 100 grand. I got nothing but love for you. I know we don't talk a lot or see each other that much, but know that my love for you and your family has never diminished a single bit. I can't think of my life without seeing you in your old place, downstairs listening to music, seeing you riding skateboards, in the cafeteria laughing our butts off, walking the halls, sitting in the car talking for hours, listening to and telling stories, hearing about what's happening in Birmingham, making freestyle tapes in my room, just hanging with my boy B, all of it. Those times are forever etched into my mind and heart. And he got an iPhone, so he loved what I just wrote. So I got the whole thing right back, right? And then he goes, etched in my mind too. You and Fred coming out the alley in the video. Me getting in trouble for staying on the porch way too long. Destroying the floor of your mom's bathroom. Giving me confidence about terrible rhyming skills and making me feel like I belong somewhere. Thank you, brother. And I
Wow.
go, yeah. And I go, no doubt, B, you always belonged. There's no doubt about that. Not a single bit. And you had skills. I'm telling you, if you kept at it, oh man. But yeah, man, all those moments are encapsulated in my memory forever. Thank you for being my friend all these years. Your support and encouragement and belief in me carried me many days when I doubted myself. Thank you, brother. And he goes, it truly has been the honor of my life, Reg.
Wow. Wow. Man, well, that's beautiful that you got to have those texts,
Yeah,
and
man.
share that with them.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
I'm,
uh
s-
it's
I'm
truly
sorry
has
you got to
been the
go
honor of
through
my
it.
life. Nah, man, it's a
That's,
part of it. This is a part of life. One of the parts, I think one of the hardest parts of life, people talk about the living part of life. Living is not hard. You just got to make an effort, right?
Mhm.
Like if you're lucky enough to wake up in the morning, just make an effort. Try, right?
Right,
I
right.
think the hardest part is it's living with the loss, right? And it's not so much the loss, but just the missing, right? The
Hmm.
missing of your friends and family. Because when they transition, they're in a different place, in a better place, and like I said, that energy goes out. Um, and so we're the ones that are still alive. We're the ones that are like living with the loss. right?
Mm-hmm.
That missing someone. So, but I gotta tell you this next part, and then it's two more parts, and I'll leave it at this. But I go, me too, B, right? It's been an honor of my life. I used to do a joke about something you said a long time ago in passing. And he would say, I think I told you this too, but he would say, with a name like Reggie Steele, you're going to be somebody. Those words conveyed a level of support and excitement that has stuck with me since the moment you said it. Damn, I love you. If you were here, I'd hug the doo-doo out of you. That's
The
something that,
doo-doo?
yeah. So, and I wrote this part. This part is parentheses. I said that's something that Herschel and I joke about all the time. Is that when you hug somebody that you love so much that you squeeze just a little bit of poop out, right? And just a little bit of poop out. That's how much you love somebody.
You better be paying for my underwear.
Yeah, exactly. Well, depending on how much come out, right? If I squeeze you too hard, you be like, "Oh, Reg, you really love me," right?
Hey, any amount is too much.
Yeah, really. So then he goes, you're one of those guys, the doers. I'm a seer. I see things happening. I knew I'd hear coming to the stage, Reggie Steele. I knew it. I could see it vividly. Um, he's like, it's going to seem like it's not going to happen. And then boom, you're on the red carpet. So, yeah, he says, we know about the work and we know about the struggle. So keep believing. Yeah, man. So I said, thanks, B. I appreciate that. And believe me, and I believe you wholeheartedly. Yeah, so that was my boy, man. Love Byron, dude. I'm glad we had that exchange because it gave me an opportunity to tell him how much I cared and loved him, and he did the same. And so I don't feel any sadness in regards to that.
Yeah,
But
that's like the example of what people say you always need to do is tell people how you feel about them, and that is good because you never know.
yeah, exactly. Everyone's like it's a popular thing now, right? Like it's even got its own name. People call it, give them their roses, right? I'm not mad about it, but that's, like give them their roses while they're alive. Like it's just now starting, like people are just now starting to realize that. I'm like, yo,
Mm-hmm.
seriously, man, for me, that's how it's been my entire life, right? Like,
Right.
leaving Birmingham, leaving high school and seeing people and knowing that we all going different places. I was like, yo, man, understand this. This is what it's been for me. And this is how I feel about you. I know I'm going to California. You're going to North Carolina. You're going to Rhode Island. You're going to another dude going to North Carolina. Another dude's going to University of Alabama. Another friend of mine is going to Montevallo. Like we all going different ways. And I try to make it a point to let everybody know that, yo, if I die in a plane crash to San Jose, just know that Reg loves you, right? And
No.
that thought highly of you. So I've been doing that since day one. Now everybody else want to jump on the bandwagon. so yeah, man. All right, thanks
Hey,
for
what
letting me
was
share,
that?
dude.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. What was that quote again that you like?
We experienced two deaths.
Mm-hmm.
The first one of the physical form, and then the second death is when someone says your name for the last time.
See, the problem with that I have with that quote is
Okay.
that means then like Hitler will never die. I mean,
I hate to say it. But think about it. Think about it. Think about it. It's true because people still not just say his name, but they read his book, right? They
he's
follow him.
the
Like,
enemy in every movie.
yeah,
His
exactly.
people.
Exactly. And I think that's a testament to how energy works too, right? Like it's almost like saying Voldemort, or it's like saying Candyman or Bloody Mary. You know what I
Right.
mean? If you want to be funny, Beetlejuice, Beetle, right? So if you say like saying their names, it actually brings a certain amount of energy to into existence, right? Now
Yeah.
that energy
Yeah.
could be positive or negative. Like, if we were to go
It is like
religious,
Voldemort. They're like the those
yeah,
the bad people who hang out with them.
exactly. Now it can be positive too, right? If you want to say for the religious people, you can say Jesus. Jesus is supposed to
Mm-hmm.
bring peace and enlightenment and, love. So words have energy. And depending on what words you say, we will bring that energy into your life. So,
Right.
so for me, the fact that Byron is no longer here in a physical form, but me saying his name allows me to bring what I believe and feel to be a positive and uplifting and good energy, right?
Right.
Like Yeah. So yeah, but it's true. It's true. If you throw out the H word, you bring, you bringing it in. You
I'm
bringing that into your life.
I'm wearing my Cleveland State hat here, Reg, and you were
See
telling me
that?
some off mic last week. You almost got you almost went to
Oh,
Cleveland State, didn't you?
dude, you know what's funny is that I'm here. Should I go get the boxes?
Oh,
I
you
got,
got your
I got,
boxes of your
no,
cards,
yeah.
your
Okay. So
letters.
last week, folks, when Sal and I got off air, we
That's
kept
right. You
talking for a
do
little
have
bit.
them. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was saying that one of the first schools that wrote me playing basketball was Cleveland State. And I was like, yo, I'm sure I got letters in the room. And I was like, yo, I remember the colors were green. I was like, it's like a little dude, like a Spartan. And you were like, oh, that's right. And then it turned out to be a Viking. That's crazy that I was talking about being here
Right.
and getting those letters. And then here we are. I'm here.
I'm gonna
Should I
go
go
get the
look for the
letters,
letters?
dude. Yeah, go
All
ahead.
right. Hold on 1 second.
I could edit out this.
Okay. All right, yo. I'm gonna see. I'm just gonna
It's
look through this
fast.
one box. I'm gonna look through this one box and see. All right. I mean, here, like, all right, so here we go. Like, you can see that.
Okay.
That one is
Yeah.
Boise State.
Boise State.
Right. That's like Boise State, Reggie Steele.
You
Right.
probably
So
shouldn't show your address, dude.
that was sent to the coach.
Oh.
These are Boise State, and then Cal State Northridge. These are all from. I'm not going to show every single one, obviously.
Oh, there's that many, huh?
Well, so I'm just going to go through the school titles. So Cal State Northridge, Fullerton, Stephen F. Austin, and this is just
okay.
University of Hawaii at Hilo.
Dude, why don't you go there? Do they now? These aren't all. These some of them are. We're just watching you. Is that what
some
this
of
is?
them are like,
and some of them are requesting you to come.
Yeah, some are like, like we're interested in you. We're watching you. You're one of the guys on our list. Right. So, and then what happens is eventually you start to narrow the field because you're like, all right, well, this school is recruiting me or that school's recruiting me, and then people start to drop off because some people sign early. Other people wait to the late signing period. They make an offer. You know what I mean? So it's like if they don't get you, then they move on. Right. So here's University of Portland, University of San Francisco, and then the school that I eventually went to,
St. Mary's,
College of California. And then the school that I signed to at first before I went to St. Mary's.
San Jose?
The school that I signed to initially.
San Diego State?
Yeah.
That's Kawhi Leonard country, right?
Yeah. I signed at San Diego State first.
What happened?
Long story short, I signed on the official signing day, national signing day for collegiate athletes. I signed at San Diego State. I got pictures of me signing the contract, everything. So I mailed off, I FedEx back my contract. And what happens like 2 weeks later, they realized that they needed another signature that was missing. And that was my mom's signature because I was over 18. So I thought I was okay to sign. So they needed my mom's signature. So instead of FedExing that contract to my mom to sign with FedEx papers, because what they should have done was sent me 3 FedEx envelopes. One sent me one, right, for me, and then for me to send it to my mom, have her sign it, and then for her to send it back to them, right? So instead of sending her the contract that was already signed by me, they sent me a new contract. And in that time, the head coach left and went to Pepperdine. So he was like, yo, don't sign that. He was like, don't sign that. He's like, I want you to come to Pepperdine. So now I'm going from San Diego State to Malibu to Pepperdine. And a guy named Tony Fuller, head coach, he gets to Pepperdine. He's like, dang, Reg, I don't have any scholarships here. I just inherited the whole team. And so I still had the scholarship on hand for San Diego State, but now the head coach is gone. And so there's kind of it's a little murky as far as what's going to happen. And at that time, they're talking about Jerry Tarkanian getting a job, the old UNLV coach who coached Larry Johnson, which was like my favorite player in college. I loved LJ. So I was like, yo, if Tark get the job, yo, I'm playing for Tark, right? Like, that's it, right? But then my JC coach was like, Coach Carr was like, nah. He's like, if you go to San Diego State, Tark gets that job, you'll be there for a year. You'll be there for a year, and then he'll run you out because Tark likes the players from Texas and Florida. That's what. And those Texas and Florida players, Texas players are mean and tough, and the Florida players are tough and athletic. Like they're not tough. Yeah, they would be a combination of tough, mean, and athletic. Like those are the guys. Is like you get to be 6'8", strong, athletic, and mean. You know what I mean? Like that just don't seem right. It's almost like it's like a crime. You know what I'm saying? So he was like, let's look at some other options. And then when he basically called schools back and was like, yo, Reggie's back on the market again. And at that time, it was like St. Mary's came back online, Utah State came back online, Stephen F. Austin, Radford in Virginia, and then a couple other schools. But yeah, so I signed at San Diego State first.
How
And
did, so
then,
how did you decide St. Mary's like that? That seems like so much to choose. It's like
oh, dude,
that's a lot to put on.
you're 19 years old.
Yeah.
And they're like basically asking you to make a decision that's going to impact the rest of your life, right?
Right.
Dude, I got Bakersfield in here. Hold up real quick. Utah State,
I mean, it'd be hard not to pick Hawaii, dude, just because it's
Hawaii
Hawaii.
Hilo. Yeah. But Hawaii is so far away, man. Like,
Yeah.
hold up, let me see. So how I chose, man, it's crazy. These are all Utah State and San Diego. Utah State and San Diego was Arkansas State hit me up too. Arkansas State, and this is Eastern Kentucky. Hilo. It's a lot of letters in here. And that's just look, I'm not gonna go through all these, but right. I went on a visit. I went on my visit to St. Mary's. And I'm glad you asked me this question. This is a great question.
Let me ask you this. How many campus visits have you done? Like, was there a lot that the colleges you visited?
No, because I went to, I had visits lined up. Before I chose San Diego State, I want to say I had like 3 or 4 visits lined up. But then once I got to San Diego State, I was like, I want to go to San Diego State. And so then I ended up canceling the visits. So I went on 2 official, right? San Diego State and St. Mary's. And then I had other unofficial visits, right? Like I had an unofficial visit at Samford in Birmingham. I had an unofficial visit at USF. And the thing about, now the key to unofficial visits, what happens is you're only allowed so many official visits, right? Like you can't visit 20 schools, right? So, right. So what they'll do is you can have an unofficial visit, right? Like going to school in San Jose and then San Francisco being right down the street. It's like, I can drive there myself. You guys can show me around. It's considered an unofficial visit, right? Because there are no resources being spent on their end.
Right.
Right. Same thing with Samford, because I'm here. Other schools that I had seen or been around for camp. So I had several, a handful of unofficial visits, and then officially, it was like I went to San Diego and I was like, I want to go to San Diego, and then that didn't work out. So I was like, all right, man, I had a visit set for Utah State, and for Utah State, I want to say Radford and like Stephen F. Austin or something like that.
Where's Stephen F. Austin at?
That's in Texas.
Okay.
Texas, right? So then I didn't do those, obviously. But how I chose, what happened was, man, I went on a visit to St. Mary's, and I gotta tell you, AJ was my guide. AJ Rollins, he was my guide. So I'm hanging out with AJ. Yeah. He was the one that took me around campus and introduced me.
Was he a freshman at the time or no? He
was a sophomore like me. AJ and I the same year. So he was a sophomore.
Oh, you were coming from San Jose State. That's right.
Yeah, from San Jose City.
So you did a year. You did a year at San Jose City.
I did 2 years.
That's junior college.
Yeah, 2 years at JC. Although, which is funny, after my freshman year, I could have gone to Santa Clara. Santa Clara was like, "Yo, we'd like for you to come and be a part of our program."
I could have been on Steve Nash's team, bro.
I would have played with Nash. I would have played with Nash, but I didn't know Santa Clara and I didn't know Steve Nash. I was like, he was still a freshman like I was, right?
Right.
But I didn't know much about them, so I was like, I kind of got a good deal here, which is crazy because it just shows the lack of mentorship that I had. Right, you're the JC, right? You're the JC, and then a university, a 4-year institution is like, yo, if you come here, you get 3 years at our institution. But I was like, man, but I got a good deal here. I want to win a state championship, this kind of stuff. My senior year in high school, before season started. And this is huge. Before season started, my freshman year in high school, I had a full scholarship offer from the College of Charleston in South Carolina, in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
Wow.
Coach Grace is sitting in my front room with sitting in my living room with scholarship papers on the table. Like, you're the kind of player that we want to start this program with, and you're the guy that we want to be like a building block for what we're trying to create here. And you're a good person and a good player and a good athlete and a good student, like, running the drag, the whole thing, man. And I was like, I'm 17, right? I'm 17 going into my senior year. And I was so nervous, Al. I was so nervous, man, because it's me and my mom sitting there. My dad, I didn't have a dad around because Walter passed when I was a kid. And then, I didn't have any other male figures in that capacity helping me out to make that decision. And so I'm sitting here with scholarship papers on the table. A guy is like, if you sign these papers, your college is taken care of for the next 4 years. And you talk about the moment being big and a little overwhelming. I was so nervous because they're like, make a commitment for your life for the next 4 years at 17 right now. Right.
Yeah.
And, if I had somebody who was like, hey, this is a program, this Division I, they're excited about you, their style of play fits your style of play. You know what I mean? Like, to help you go through all that stuff. I would have signed, but I was like, hey, coach, I want to wait to the late signing period. Right. Not under just out of some pure fear. Right. Just kind of nervous and scared. And he was like, okay. He's like, I understand that. That's not a problem. But in essence, what I'm saying is I want to see if I get better offers.
Right.
Right. And so he was like, okay, that's fine. He didn't put any pressure on me. He was really nice about it. And they pursued me for the rest of my senior year. And then they got a transfer. I'll never forget this. They got a kid that transferred from the University of Alabama, Birmingham, from UAB, who transferred to College of Charleston. And when I say that we were like almost identical in our style of play, except he was a little taller than me. He was like, I was listed at 6'4" at that time. He was listed at 6'6", right? Both athletes, both versatile players, but he's a little taller. He transferred there. And then once he transferred there, then they stopped contacting me. Right. And so
that was your first the casting job.
Yeah, exactly. So even UAB was recruiting me, but UAB was like, they wanted me to go to this JC here in Alabama called it was called Sneed State in Boaz, Alabama. They were like, go there for a year, work on the certain aspects of your game, because I was played as a big man down here, whereas they're like, at the next level, you can't be a big man, you got to be a 3. Right. Either you got to be a point guard, shooting guard, or 3, but you can't be a power forward and a center. That's just not going to happen. Right. So they wanted me to go to JC for a year and then transfer to UAB. But I was like, I'm not trying to stay in Birmingham. I'm not trying to stay in Birmingham and go to a JC. That's not going to happen. Right.
So you did the JC in Cali.
So I did the JC in Cali. And the other thing is, I had at that time, Georgia State, Radford was another, Samford, Radford, and Georgia State were all schools that were looking at me. And Southeastern Louisiana was on the table too. But there was something, I don't know what it is, Sal, but there was something inside me that was just like, go west, right? Like,
that's how I found. You got to go west, baby.
I had to go west, man. I couldn't stay in the South, man. Like, it just wasn't, it wasn't talking to me. Like, it wasn't speaking to me like that. So I was like, yo, I'm gonna go out here and see what happens.
I'll go back to AJ now. He's your little tour guy.
Yeah. So AJ, so I get the same.
Now AJ, everybody is like, what, 6'8"? He's tall.
AJ's 6'7". He's 6'7", broad shoulders. A lot of people used to think he looked like Chris Webber because he had the ball head and the goatee.
He did have that Chris Webber look. Yeah, a little thinner.
Yeah, Chris Webber is 6'10". 6'10". This dude is 6'7". That just goes to show people don't know anything about height. I'm like,
I heard 6'8". Oh.
Okay. So AJ's my guide. I get the same areas. AJ's my guide. He's taking me around. AJ, phenomenal dude, great demeanor, great presence, great attitude, very charismatic, funny, big personality, loud, gregarious, over the top. But, just one of those guys that makes you feel comfortable. Like AJ's like, come on, man. All right, you here to visit? All right, let's go.
Yeah, he is.
Like, his energy is, yeah, his energy is contagious, right?
Mhm.
So I'm like, okay, this dude is great. All right, this is cool. He taking me around, meeting different teammates, right? And they have a whole itinerary for you. Like you meet professors and you meet staff and you meet the president of the school, you meet, all these people, right? Man, I remember we were going to there was a school function. This is a great Mahershala story too, by the way. Excuse me. There's a school function called Jamaican Me Crazy on the football field. So they got all this, island theme stuff going on, booths, music, artifacts, whatever you want, clothing, hats, the whole thing. Man, he's like, yo, here's one of the guys on the team right here. And I'll never forget this. We walk up and I see this dude. He's standing there in some khaki shorts, right? Khaki shorts with big cargo shorts, not khaki cargo shorts. And he had on a plaid, like a earth tone brown and beige um, button up shirt. Almost looked kind of wool or something like that. I don't know, cotton. And the sleeves were rolled up, right? And his hair was all done up low on the sides, little curly top, dark skinned brother, had on sandals, right? But you could look at his legs and tell that he was an athlete because the ankles were small and the big calves. And
He was taking full advantage of the theme of the party.
oh, he was taking full advantage. And he turns around, and I'll never forget, he had on this gold Seiko watch with a black face, right? Sleeves rolled up, stylish. And then he turns around, fresh line, hair is nice, perfect. And AJ goes, oh yeah, this is one of the guys on the team. He goes, hey Hirsch, this is Reggie. He's on his visit. And this dude do just like this, right? This is how he turned around. He's like, what's up, man? Dude, straight up. Just imagine. He did. Here's a story for you. He did this. He did what Tay Diggs did to me on the set of Murder in the First. But Tay Diggs was a little nicer. Tay Diggs did one of these. Hey, what's up, man? Yeah. Nice to meet you, bro. Right. So he
In
kind of gave me,
college. That's hilarious.
yeah, man. So he kind of gave me the cold shoulder. And what I later found out was that Mahershala, based on his relationship with Ernie Kent at St. Mary's and everything that was going on, he was like, look, man, I don't have any energy to put toward something that's got to do with basketball because he had a lot of stuff going on personally. Like his dad was ill, or his dad had just passed away actually, or was at the time was ill, and so he was dealing with a lot of stuff personally. So he was like, I just don't have energy and time for a recruit right now, right? But I didn't know that. I'm just sitting there as a guy who's visiting this school, who's potentially going to come here to play. In my head, all I'm thinking is, I'm gonna take your spot, right? I'm like, oh, you gonna be like that? I'm gunning for your spot now. I'm the dude that's coming in as a JC player, coming in as a junior, because apparently you ain't getting it done. So they got to go out and bring in a ringer. They got to go get the big guns, right? So in my head, I'm kind of like, whatever, man. I didn't take it personally.
He's a sophomore
no, I did
too.
take it personally a little bit. He's a sophomore too at this time.
So these guys though, they all started as freshmen. So you were coming in later.
I was coming as a junior.
Oh wow. So they
Right?
already had 2 years. They're like, who's this new dude?
Yes, that's how it's hard for the JC. Not hard for the JC guys, but just imagine if you had 2 years in the program, learning the system, playing for the coach, understanding what the coach wants, you have, you have an advantage based on
Right.
sheer exposure and access. Now you bring in another guy who's played on a different system, another system with a different coach, a different style of play to some degree. That's why it's really important to find out what the style of play is. So at least that's a smooth transition. Whereas like, if they like to slow it down and grind it out, and you're a thoroughbred, that's going to drive you nuts, right?
Right.
Or if they like to run and gun, and you kind of like, well, I ain't the running gun, it's just finding the right program. So, that's hard for some JCs, right? That's why they want you to come in early, work with the team, work with the coach, and blah blah blah. So this is the thing. So after that interaction, I was like, all right, whatever. AJ's great though. I was like, that dude got his own thing. I ain't tripping. AJ's great, dude. Later on, he drops me off. I got some meeting with the coaches and we go have lunch and we're sitting there talking and walking around. They take me out to a place and all this kind of stuff. He goes, well, later you're going to be with the team. You'll meet the rest of the guys on the team. Sal, when I say that when I met the rest of the guys on the team and they all legitimately had the same energy that AJ had.
Oh
I mean,
wow.
I'm talking about like these guys were They were academic and they were athletes, but they were charismatic and they were funny and they were down to earth. And they really came across as really sincere, right? Because I didn't say this earlier, but when I went on my visit to San Diego State, the guys down there, I was like, you guys aren't that great, but I was like, I ain't about y'all. It's about the WAC and being at San Diego, being in San Diego in the WAC, one of the largest conferences in the country. I was like, yo, I can come here and I can make it work. I can play with a couple of guys that have a little attitude. I ain't tripping off of that. I've been, every athlete has done that, right? Like you got a knucklehead or two. But when I say I met these dudes and they from top to bottom were like good dudes, dude, we ended up singing. There was one point where one of the guys was like, yo, I got this new CD. He puts on this CD of all the music from TV shows, right? So all of a sudden, you got like 12 dudes sitting around singing, you take the good, you take the bad, you take the both, and there you have the facts of life, right? The facts of life. And guys are like, there you go and show. And then you got people who are like, forever moving on up, moving on to the east side, moving on up. Dude, we sat there, we sang so many, right? It takes different strokes. It takes different strokes. Dude, and then when this one came out,
oh, so good. Quincy Jones, son.
Dude, exactly. Dude, I swear to you, sitting there singing with those dudes, everybody having a great time, laughing and joking. I was like, yo, man, forget anything else. Like I could play with these dudes. Like I can, because of that camaraderie, I was like, whatever happens, we can work it out.
So that's the number one thing you're looking for in that situation, probably.
Yeah. I mean, for me personally, because after the San Diego situation where I felt like, and even at San Jose, there were a couple times where there were guys on the court, on the team. I remember my freshman year, man. My freshman year, I had a really good freshman year, but I hit a slump, right? Which happens, right? You're away from home, you're trying to new place, and I hit a slump. And I had guys on the team that were like trying to tear me down. Like I'm already having a hard time. Like, but like, hey Reg, what you gonna do now? Like your coach's favorite. Coach love Reg. Whatever Reg do is okay. Reg can't do no wrong. Reg is great. Reg, everybody loves Reg, right? It's like, what now, Reg? You can't. And I was like, I was struggling. And you know what happened at that time was Coach had brought me into his office. And I learned this is a very valuable lesson. Coach had brought me into his office and he goes, I want to let you know that in order for us to be successful as a team, these are his words, I need for you to keep doing what you already do, right? He's like, you do everything. You block shots, you rebound, you take charges, you bring the ball up the court, you block out, you know what I mean? You hustle, you go hard, you drive for loose balls. He's like, you score, you hit your free throw. Like he basically was saying that I play the game well. And he's like, in order for us to win, I need for you to do that, right? I don't need for you to score the most points. I don't need for you to get the most rebounds. I need for you to do everything that you've been doing. You fill in all the gaps. Like for every team that I played for the most part, I've always been the second guy. Like there's one guy who scores all the points, and then there's me. And then there's another guy who has all the rebounds, and then there's me. Then there's another guy who got the most steals, and then there's me, right? It's like you got a different dude, but then I'd be like number one in field goal percentage, right? So it's almost like, you know, how you win the competition is everyone's voting for someone individually, but that second guy is always me. So that guy always ends up winning because he gets the most votes.
Yeah.
Right. And so he brought me into his office, man. He said that to me. And when he said it, for some reason in my head, I was like, okay, I got to do more. Like I got to do more. And so I started pressing. When in reality, I would have been fine if he would just say, hey, Reg, you're doing a great job. Keep up the good work. Right. But because he framed it in a certain way, I then put this pressure on myself, like, okay, I gotta do this. And so I'm pressing, and I kind of like, there was a stretch about 4 games where it's just like, when I say I couldn't throw it in the ocean, dude, I could jump over the rim like this, right? Like I literally could just over the rim like this, and I was missing layups.
Wow.
Right. I'm at and then I would get down on myself, like, come on, Reg. I didn't give myself any room to make mistakes.
It was
I
all
put
mental.
so much, it was all mental. I put so much pressure on myself. And then after about 3 or 4 games, coach pulled me aside and he goes, what the hell's going on? I tell you that I want you to keep doing what you're doing. And now what are you doing? You're doing something else. And I go, coach, I feel like and he was like, no, I'm just saying, just be you. He's like, you are good enough. I just wanted you to continue what you were doing. I didn't want you to go out and try to do something else. And I was like, why didn't you say that? He's like, I thought I did say that. Dude, in that moment, when I say that he freed me of like that mental pressure I had put on myself to be or do something else, when he was like, no, you as you are is enough.
Yeah.
Man, when I say I took off, it was like block shot, rebound, turnover, go back, steal it, get it back, dunk, 3-pointer, free throw, layup, up and under, what you want, defending, get a stop. You know what I mean? Like dive for a loose ball, save it, run back in, finish the layup. Like it was just, and then, but during that time when I was having a hard time, man, I had guys on the team that were like, that literally like, what? Oh, now Reg, coach's favorite, Reg, wow. Reg. And I was like, why, if we're on the same team, why wouldn't you try to build up your teammate? Right. Yeah. Why? But that was because guys, there's jealousy, right? There were guys that's like, you know, man, I'm not getting the same opportunities. I don't get to play as much. I don't get this. So now the golden boy, I guess now what? And it's like, yo, that shit don't last forever. That's why even now, like at this point in my life, you know, comedy, I'm like, after experiencing all that stuff in college, right? I show up in the comedy world and someone's like, man, they like, it's like, man, look, I'm just going to go do me. I'm good enough for me. And if they don't like it, then I just find somebody who does like it. So, so yeah, man, on that visit, when I had when I saw that level of affection and sincerity and genuineness and just down to earthness with all those dudes, I was like, man, whatever comes, if we're going to be like this, we can handle anything that comes our way.
Yeah.
And, you know, honestly, dude, that has been one of the best decisions I've ever made.
Yeah.
Like personally, basketball wise, it could have gone differently. And, you know, we could talk about that whole thing someday. But those guys, I'm literally good friends with all the guys I played with. Like we all, you know, Mahershala, Mockley, AJ, Ali Peak, Yvonne Dodich, Josh Unruh, Dave Savulich, Cameron Sufi, Eric Schrader, Eric Knapp, right? Like, and Moki before he passed. Like we still literally all like stay in touch with each other. Everyone's texting.
Was it weird going to a Catholic school? Does that not even matter? That doesn't even, they don't make you do anything. You don't have to be Catholic or any of that.
Well, yeah, you don't have to be Catholic, but you remember I went to Catholic private middle school. So
that's true.
Right. So that was kind of mass. Like, exactly. The only thing we had was we had religious studies that you had to do, right? And that was like Jan term. So in the winter break, after first semester and second semester, in the middle, you had to do a thing called Jan term, which was like a, you know, 3-week course or something. And that was usually something based on some religion or some moral, ethical thing. And it could be about whatever, but it had like a religious overtone to it. Wow. But outside of that, we didn't have to go to mass and nothing. And, you know, there was brothers, like not black dude brothers, but like, you know, Lasallian brothers walking around the campus, you know. But yeah,
man. Well, cool, man. I think that's a good way to end on.
Okay. We should talk. I think we should talk about what happened after I graduated. After I graduated and my last year playing for Ernie Kent. Yeah, last year.
We'll get into it.
Yeah. And
come back to it.
Yeah, and how that whole thing played out with an agent and potentially playing in CBA, which is now like the G League. And and how that whole thing played out. Yeah.
Dirt's coming, baby. Dirt's coming. All right. Well,
the dirt is coming.
Hey, you know,
thanks for listening, everybody.
I was going to tell you the last 2 episodes are our most downloaded episodes since the first one.
Really?
Yeah. Dude, they're coming together. New Family we're talking about. Black in America, I think, was very popular.
Okay.
So,
okay. Yeah. All right. I didn't get a chance to listen to the last episode, so maybe I'll listen to it today. Even though we do it, I still listen to it. Just it's
Oh,
like
yeah, you
watching.
don't
It's
need
like
to know
watching
all
game
that.
tape. It's like watching game tape. We got to see what you did, what you didn't do. Like, is it better when I look this way or like that way? All right. So, hey man, thanks for letting me.
Yeah, man. Sorry you're going through that. And
I
but
appreciate it,
hey,
bro.
thanks for listening, everybody.
Yeah, thank you for listening, everybody, and we'll see you next time. And I'm gonna keep looking for those Cleveland State letters.
Yeah, let's do it. The Vikings, baby.
The Vikings. All right. Peace, everybody. We'll see you next time. Spitballing. We're out.